He saw her first as something men weren't supposed to see in daylight. A young woman, half wrapped in a torn blanket, barefoot in the dust, her skin bruised in places no decent man would look twice at. Marcus Hale didn't stop right away. Marcus Hale had been a widower near 10 years now, lived alone on land his father left him, a quiet man. But folks in Dodge knew better than to push him when he got set on something. He sat tall in the saddle, watching her from a distance, the sun cutting sharp lines across her shoulders, the kind of stillness that comes before a man decides what kind of man he's going to be. She didn't move, didn't beg. She just sat there against that old cottonwood tree, shaking, holding that blanket tight across her chest like it was the last thing she owned in this world when Marcus finally slid off his horse, slow and deliberate. It didn't look like a rescue. It looked like something else. A lone rancher, 50 years behind his eyes, standing over a broken young woman with no one around to see what came next, close enough to see dried blood along her knee and the way her ankle bent wrong when she tried to pull back. His shadow fell over her. That's when she looked up. And whatever she saw in his face made her flinch harder than the pain in her leg. "Don't look at me like that." Her voice cracked. Not loud, not angry, just tired in a way that didn't belong on someone that young. She turned her face away, like she'd already decided what he was, like she'd seen men like him before. Marcus didn't reach for her. Not yet. He just stood there, staring down at her, jaw tight, eyes fixed, as if he was weighing something heavy and dangerous inside his own chest. A man could walk away. A man could pretend he hadn't seen a thing. Or a man could do something far worse, slow and deliberate, not toward his gun, toward her. And for a brief second, it truly looked like she had been found by the wrong man at the worst possible time. Then Marcus Hale froze, because in that battered face, beneath the fear and dirt and shame, he saw someone he hadn't expected to see again. And everything changed in that single breath. But by the time the sun dipped lower over Dodge City, the whole town would be whispering a very different story. So here's the question. Was Marcus Hale about to save that girl? Or become the worst mistake of her life? Because out here, a man didn't need witnesses to ruin a life, and there wasn't a soul around to stop him. Marcus didn't touch her right away. That mattered more than anything. He took off his hat instead, slow and steady, like a man stepping into a church he wasn't sure he belonged in. Then he knelt down, not too close, just enough so she didn't have to look up at him anymore. "You're hurt," he said, quiet. She didn't answer. Didn't trust the sound of his voice, or maybe didn't trust herself not to break if she spoke again. Marcus glanced at her ankle, swollen and already turning dark. This was no bad fall. Someone had done this on purpose. He reached into his saddlebag, pulled out a clean cloth and a small flask, set them on the ground between them, not forcing it on her. "Name's Marcus," he said. A pause, then softer. "Hale." That name hung in the air a second longer than expected. Because she knew it, she looked at him again, this time different, not less afraid, but searching. "My father knew a Hale," she whispered. Marcus let out a slow breath. "Yeah," he said. "Your father pulled me out of a bad spot back in '68. Up near Abilene." He paused, eyes steady. "I owed him then. Guess now I owe you." It still wasn't safe, not yet. But it wasn't hopeless anymore. He helped wrap her ankle, careful, steady hands, no sudden moves. He knew if he got this wrong, she'd run. And if she ran, she wasn't making it far. Every time she flinched, he stopped. Every time she pulled back, he gave her space. "We're not staying here," he said. That got a reaction. Her grip tightened on the blanket. "He'll find me," she said. "Not if... when..." Marcus nodded once, like he already knew the kind of man she was talking about. "Yeah," he said. He might. He didn't take her straight to his ranch. Didn't take her into town the front way either. Instead, he led her slow, on horseback, keeping to the edges, where dust trails didn't carry stories too far. By the time they reached the back entrance of May Callahan's place, night had settled in, just a dim light in the window, and a woman who opened the door before Marcus even knocked. May took one look at the girl and didn't ask questions. Just stepped aside, upstairs, she said. That night, Clara barely spoke. slept in pieces, woke up shaking. Once, she grabbed Marcus's wrist so hard it almost hurt, like she thought if she let go, she'd wake up back in that house again. Marcus stayed in a chair by the door. Didn't move closer, didn't leave, but not all at once, 'cause some stories don't come out clean. They come out like bruises, one layer at a time. Her father had died 2 summers ago. She took a breath before she went on. What she said next wasn't just a story. It was the kind of truth that gets people killed if it lands in the wrong hands. Left her a piece of land south of the river. Nothing fancy, just good soil and a water source that didn't dry up when the heat turned cruel. That kind of land doesn't stay unnoticed for long. That's when Elias Whitmore showed up. Clean coat, soft voice, the kind of man folks trusted before they had a reason not to. And then one day, he asked for her hand. Claire thought it was kindness. Turned out it was a contract. After the wedding, her world got smaller. No more letters, no more riding out alone. Then came the bruises, always where clothes could hide them, always followed by an apology that sounded more like a warning. Marcus had heard stories like this before. Just never this close. Why didn't you leave sooner? May asked. Not harsh, just honest. Clara looked down at her hands. I tried, she said. That was when she told them about her father's notebook. She had hidden it before the wedding, back when something in her gut didn't sit right. There was an old hollow post near the old horse corral, half rotted and easy to miss if you didn't know where to look. She wrapped the notebook in cloth and pushed it deep inside. Elias never found it. Inside that notebook were names, dates, and one thing that mattered most, proof that the debt Elias claimed was already paid. Marcus finally looked up. That book ain't enough, he said. Clara nodded. I know. May leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Then we get what is enough, she said. Just a quiet understanding between 3 people who knew this wasn't going to end clean. Outside, the town was already talking. A rancher, a young woman, a missing wife. Stories grow fast in summer heat. And men like Elias don't wait long before they come looking. If you're still with me, subscribe and tell me where you're listening from. 'Cause from here on out, things don't slow down. That notebook was still buried. Elias was still out there. And before the sun went down again, somebody was going to come through that door. They didn't have to wait long. It started with boots on the porch, a heavy, confident, the kind of sound that didn't ask permission before coming in. Marcus stood up slow, not reaching for his gun. Not yet. Claire froze for a second, that old fear trying to crawl back into her bones. Then she looked at Marcus, and this time she didn't look away. 2 men stepped inside, not lawmen, just hired muscle-wearing, clean shirts and mean expressions. A man named Hale. One of them said, "That depends," he said. The other man smirked. "Depends on how you want this to go." It didn't take long after that. They moved in, quick and rough, trying to grab Clara before anything could be said. Marcus met them halfway. Marcus wasn't a man who went looking for trouble, but he'd lived through land fights years back, and when it came to it, he knew how to finish one. One solid hit sent the first man into a table, wood cracked. Glass followed. The second one came in swinging. Marcus took it, stepped inside, and drove him back into the door frame hard enough to shake the whole wall. But it was final, the kind of fight that didn't need a second round. When it was over, both men were on the floor, groaning, not getting up anytime soon. May looked down at them and let out a small breath. About time someone said no to that man, she muttered. Clara was shaken again, but this time it wasn't fear. It was anger, the kind that had been building up for too long. Marcus wiped his hands on his shirt and looked at her. That book, he said. She nodded. It's still there. That was the truth of it. May stepped closer, lowering her voice. Running won't fix this, she said. He owns half the town, and the other half owes him favors. That landed hard, because they all knew she was right. Clara took a breath. Deeper this time. If we get the papers, she said. The ones he keeps locked up, it proves everything. Marcus looked at her carefully. This wasn't the same girl under the tree anymore. Still hurt. Still healing. But not broken. Then we don't wait, he said. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying dust across the street like a warning. Because somewhere out there, Elias Whitmore had just heard what happened, and men like him didn't lose control quietly. By nightfall, they wouldn't be hiding anymore. They'd be walking straight into his house, and this time, Elias wouldn't be smiling when he opened the door. That night didn't end with shouting. It ended with truth. Marcus and Clara rode straight into Whitmore Ranch under a sky that felt too still for what was coming. Just a man who had made up his mind, and a woman who was done being afraid of her own shadow. Clara led the way to the old barn first. Her hands trembled when she reached the half-rotted post near the old horse corral, the one no one ever looked twice at. She pulled the loose piece free. Dirt fell, then cloth, then the notebook. Marcus gave a small nod, like something important had finally come back to life. From there, they walked into the house, not as trespassers. As people taking something back, the office was just how Clara remembered. Marcus cracked it open. A shot rang out from the side window. Glass shattered. Marcus jerked back, hand going to his shoulder, and not deep, but enough to remind him this wasn't going to end clean. He gritted through it, knowing pain wasn't new to him. Inside were papers, official on the surface and dirty in all the ways that mattered. Elias Whitmore was already there. Some men don't chase. They wait. He smiled at first. You think a few papers are going to save you, Elias said, voice low now. Half this town owes me something. Even the law looks the other way when I ask. His hand twitched near his side like he was thinking about drawing, but he didn't. Not when Clara stepped forward and spoke without shaking. Not when Marcus didn't back down, and not when the truth was sitting right there in Marcus's hand. By morning, Marcus and Clara rode into town with the papers in hand, not to the man already bought and paid for, to a lawman who still cared about the law, the kind that kept the peace back when this town still remembered what that meant. It didn't take long after that. When the truth is written clear enough, even men like Elias run out of places to hide. And a story that had been buried under fear finally stood up in daylight. Marcus rode with his shoulder bandaged, but he rode tall. Some men carry pain quiet, and that's how you know what they're made of. She moved forward, careful but free. Marcus didn't try to own that moment. Sometimes that's what real strength looks like. Sometimes a man doesn't have to put someone in the ground to prove he's strong. Sometimes he just has to stand where it matters and refuse to walk away. Not by taking control, but by making sure someone else can. How many times in life do we look at something broken and choose to walk away because it's easier? And how many times do we stay, not because we have to, but because it's the right thing to do? If this story stayed with you, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you would have done if you were standing where Marcus stood. And if you're a man who stood in a hard place like that, drop a comment. Now, one more thing, and I'll keep it real with you. This story comes from old records and retellings, with a few details shaped to carry the lesson a little clearer. Some images are made with AI to help bring the feeling home. If it stayed with you, leave a comment. I rate everyone.